From Ix Art Park in Charlottesville, Virginia, this is the Daily Creature, and I'm Jovina. Thank you so much for joining us. Friends, don't get bored. Get cardboard. Get the cardboard that you're most likely going to recycle or throw away and set it aside somewhere safe for art projects. We are going to use this cardboard in the coming weeks, I can assure you. So for now, take pieces like this, squares, whatever you've got. Be it clean, set it aside. Speaking of cardboard, I've fashioned a cardboard kitty cat here, which is fitting because our animal today is the cat. The cat, the cat. I made this cat with cardboard and masking tape. See, I taped a bit here so she could sit up, and I taped her head and her tail on as well. Is she finished? I don't think so. But I don't know. But I don't think so. Sketchy Kitty. Creative friends, for this exercise, you'll need only a pencil, ideally with a decent eraser, and this piece of white paper as well. We will be sketching a kitty cat. And I will be using this wonderful book of animal anatomy that provides us with reference pictures of bones and muscle, and of course, the full kitty. I'm going to set this book just next to me here. If you have access to reference materials in your home, I recommend you use them. When I'm sketching in pencil, I tend to start very lightly. And I try to consider the whole creature and start basically with a series of shapes. I'm not drawing too hard. I'm not grinding down my pencil into the paper. And again, I'm working out each shape lightly sketching. I think I'm going to put one paw a bit forward. And again, lines and shapes. That's what we're focused on. No details just yet. Work out her tail and bring it down. Tail, yes. Details, no. Do you like to sketch like this? Does it drive you crazy to sketch like this? Taking my time here, adding some ears on there for my little kitty. My cat looks kind of scrappy. That's okay. Now I might start to go in with my pencil and erase some of these lines. See where I can remove some of the pencil markings. When you're drawing your cat, you can decide how much you want it to look just like a cat looks in nature, and perhaps how much you'd like to change things a bit. I'll get up to the face here, add the eyes, nose, and have those little round cheeks. Whiskers, of course. You can even do some shading. That's lightly penciling in perhaps the places on the cat's body that might be darker because they're in shadow. And I would continue to take those lines out that you were sort of sketching with earlier. Maybe add some stripes. Little spots. I find sketching to be very, very relaxing. It's kind of a happy kitty. I like that kitty. Maybe I'll put a little ground behind him. Add some detail to the paws. And maybe for fun, this is not necessarily found in your reference book, but we'll give our kitty a thought. What should the cat be thinking about? How about this guy? Cats love these guys. He's a hungry cat. What should we name him? How about Gerald? That is a sketchy kitty. A cat poem by Shel Silverstein. It's from his collection Falling Up, and it's called No Thank You. No, I do not want a kitten. No cute, cuddly kitty poo. No more long hair in my cornflakes. No more midnight meowing mews. No more scratchin', snarlin' spitters. No more sofa clawed to shreds. No more smell of kitty litter. No more mousies in my bed. No, I will not take that kitten. I've had lice and I've had fleas. I've been scratched and sprayed and bitten. I've developed allergies. If you've got an ape, I'll take him. If you have a lion, that's fine. If you brought some walking bacon, leave him here. I'll treat him kind. I have room for mice and gerbils. I have beds for boars and bats. But please, please take away that kitten. Quick, for it becomes a cat. Well, it is kinda cute at that. Folks, Shel Silverstein kills it. Get some in for your bedtime reading. You won't regret it. Daily clay. So, what you will need for this super cool, cute kitty face on cardboard project is a piece of cardboard, a square. It does not have to be too big. And then I've got a number of colors of clay here, which of course you don't necessarily need to have all of these colors. I have plans for these colors and I'll walk you through them step by step as we sculpt. But I've got a kind of a purplish clay here. We're going to use that to create most of our cat. I've got some blue clay as well. I'm going to use that for the background, and that'll make sense in a moment here. I also have some yellow, some purple, kind of hard to tell with our slightly less than professional lighting, some light pink, a little bit of it there, some white, and a very small amount of black. And I also have the sharp pencil here, which I think will do us for a tool. This is the only thing we'll need in terms of tools. So let's get started. We will begin with the piece of blue clay and our cardboard. Boom. And we are taking our pincher fingers here, and we are pinching a bit of the blue, pressing it down onto the cardboard, and smoothing it in. You're almost painting it on, like so. You're going to take your time to really get that all smoothed and flat. And once you have your cardboard covered with blue clay, it might take a moment, but take your time and really do take the time to go out to each edge. Again, like you've painted a background. This is basically the background for our super cute clay kitty. We are going to focus simply on the head, neck, and shoulders of our kitty. And it's almost like we're creating a clay portrait right here. And I've got this delightful sort of purplish. Now, I've never seen a cat that color. But see, that's sort of part of the fun of creating an art project like this. I'm rolling this clay out, by the way, just to make it a bit more egg-like. I take my pincher fingers and kind of start to pinch out a bit of a neck, shoulders, round out a head as well. Does that make sense? The shape, kind of like that. I'm going to now lay it onto my piece of cardboard. Here it is from the side view. Here it is again. This will be the front. Get me that far, eh? And creative creatures, please remember, if you need to pause the video for a moment, or even jump back to hear what I said, I'm doing my best to be clear, but sometimes I struggle with that, so you might have to pause and go back. I'm going to take my thumbs now, or the tips of my fingers, whichever works, and start to press my kitty further into the cardboard. The little shoulders, and then flattening out that head a bit as well. Sort of a relief. It is flat, but it is not flat. And given the size of the head here, I think we'll add some pieces for our ears. I do want this to appear that, there we go. Now I'm breaking off a couple of small pieces, and we're going to use those pieces to create the ears for our kitty. I'll roll them into little ball shapes, perhaps between my fingers. Maybe give it a little roll so you get a sort of a teardrop shape, and then pinch that flat. And you can take that piece and stick it on and smooth it in a bit and make it pointy for your kitty ear. There's one. And I'll create another one. Same idea. And that's extra. Probably won't need it, but I roll a bit of a teardrop shape. Let's lay it down to gauge that size. I think that'll work. And I'll press that in as well and smooth it in. These ears might be a little large right now, so I'll go in and kind of, using my pincher fingers, pinch them and push them down in and smooth them a bit. And start to really get a feel for this kitty's face. I'm going to press in a bit where their eyes will go here. Also pressing in a bit where that neck is as well. I'll bring this a little closer. Does it look like a cat? Well, not quite yet. I like sometimes to use the eraser as a sculpture tool as well. And I'm going to do so right now to kind of depress these ears on each side. Can you see what I'm doing there? Get them a bit more ear-like. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I have extra purple here, and I'd like to use a bit more of it to create the bridge of my kitty's nose. Now, folks, right now I'm working from my imagination, largely. I'm remembering what cats look like in my head, the features that stick with me, and I'm adding them to my kitty, step by step. I'm not working with a reference. I could work with a reference, and I often do. I'm using the eraser here again to just indent a bit where those eyes are going to go. And again, feeling out that shape of the face for my little kitty here. Okay, I'm going to bring this up a bit closer so you can kind of get an idea again of what is happening here. From here, I'm going to get that white that we had. Here's the white. And what I'm going to do is basically, using my pincher fingers, break down some smaller ball shapes of white clay. And I'm going to get them pretty small. I don't know what the scientific term is for this, but cats have that little set of lumps right under their nose, kind of like that, right? It's very cat-like. If it doesn't make sense just yet, I'm going to add a bit of the pink that we had. And it's really just a very small amount of pink. And I'm going to place that sort of beneath the bridge of the nose, but in between, those two little ball shapes. I'm going to bring this up a bit closer so you can see what we're working with here. Is it starting to make sense? Is it starting to look like a cat to you? Now, the nose may benefit from nostrils. I'm just going to add them on one side and the other using my sharp pencil. Not bad, yeah, right? Now the kitty can breathe nasally. I am going to add just a touch of white underneath those two little ball shapes as well, to sort of represent the chin of this kitty. And what's really cool about that is that you suddenly have created a mouth, more or less. Now, if you want your kitty to be meowing, you can open that mouth. We'll return to that in a moment. For now, let's keep that closed. One thing our kitty is certainly missing is eyes. I would like to give her some eyes, and I'm going to go for bright yellow eyes. It's an unusual color against all of these. It's not like the others, and I think it'll pop out ideally. Before I do add eyes, we have some of that dark purple. I'm going to take two little ball shapes of the dark purple, and I'm going to put that where I'm placing the eyes. And this creates a kind of a dark circle on each side. I take our sharp pencil and I go in and I create a hole. And you'll notice, friends, I don't drag the pencil back and forth, but I'm gently rolling it to create a hole in the eye there. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Here we go. And I'm going perhaps a little large, a little unusually large for the eye sockets of our kitty. I'm going to go with my thumb too and just gently smooth some of that clay there. Now, we had that delightful bright yellow. Again, our lights perhaps don't do it justice, but from where I'm standing, it's bright and brilliant. And I roll a couple of little ball shapes, basically take a piece, pinch off a small amount, and roll it up. And this will become the eye of our kitty. I'm going to take that bit and I'm just going to sort of pop it in there like that. Hello? Yes, I think that will work. One on one side, one on the other. Whoop. One on the other. Here we are. Okay. And if the eyes are not exactly the same size, well, that's okay. And if the eyes are not the same size and you want them to be the same size, think about what you have to do to fix that. And that goes for any part of your kitty. You make all of the decisions about your sculpture. Your work of art is yours. It is the sum of the choices that you make. There aren't really wrong choices. You could argue there are good and bad choices, but even then, it's a gray area. What I'd like to add now, inside those bits of yellow, let's see if we can get the focus, not on my dry skin, but I'm going to add some teeny tiny bits of black. Really, really small. And you want to get the tiniest piece you can in your fingers and roll a little bit of a kind of almost like a grain of rice. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it on the eye of my cat. Does that make sense? I break another teeny tiny piece, friends. It really is a small piece. The smaller, the better. Because if you go too big with it, you run the risk of having to try and clean it off. And that gets tricky. Now, I do want his eyes to match up somewhat. That pupil is currently a little askew, but I think I can go in here and sort of gently press it. And I've never done this while I'm doing this through my iPhone. I'm looking at my camera and the clay is under it. So it's a new thing for me. And it's a challenge. I'm not going to lie to you, friends and neighbors. It's a challenge. So we have a basic kitty there. He or she looks a bit surprised. I'm going to add a couple of little eyebrows here, little eyelids almost, or even just call it a brow. A little something to give this kitty some character. I've created this little worm of clay here, and I'm just going to do one of these. Does that make sense? And all of a sudden, with that simple addition, the cat has so much more emotion. The one eye is just sort of not much happening there, but then this one, right? So you can give your cat a happy expression, a sad expression, a mad expression. I'm going to stick with a sort of a stressed out, this cat's got a lot on its mind. Maybe not. Maybe this cat is you know, without a care, but there we go. So, from here, I can add details, bits and bobs, you know? If I want some stripes for the kitty, I take some of this darker purple, let's say, same stuff I used for the eyes, and I would just roll super skinny worm shapes like that. And those could be placed, you know, around that kitty. I think I'll stick with just one stripe there for now, and who knows, that could also be a necklace. Sometimes, some cats have a little kind of a ruff of fur that runs down their sort of a jawline. So I'm taking these little lines of white here, and I'm going to add them on each side. And I think that gives my kitty a little more face, which is nice, just a slightly broader face. And the cat's taking on a kind of an elder states cat look. So I might add a couple of little white eyebrows too to sort of go above those lids. Really coming together. Where do you go next from there? I bet your ideas are just as good as mine, if not better. One thing you could do is take a sharp pencil. That's our tool that we have with us right now, and it's all we need really. You can create a little texture in these ruffles on the sides of his face. You could even build up a little texture on the beard, texture the brow. Sky's the limit. Speaking of the sky, you could add a little tiny sun. You've got that yellow, blue. You could take the smallest little wisp of white and do a little cloud here as well. Happy little cloud. Fun stuff. Maybe in honor of our happy little clouds, we'll name this cat Ross. There you have it, friendos. A fun little kitty portrait, a sort of a relief building up on the cardboard, and kind of a strange cat. Not quite a realistic cat, more of an imaginative cat. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it to be an inspirational springboard from which you leap like a cat. I almost forgot to ask. Do you have a cat? I have a cat. May I tell you about my cat? My cat is called Pilot, and he's polydactyl, which means he was born with more than the usual amount of toes on one or more of his paws. So he actually has 27 toes. He is a strange little creature, but I am certainly glad he's a part of our family. Folks, this is it for today's Kitty Cat program. So cats off to you, and thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, our animal is none other than the rat. And it is, in fact, the year of the rat. And I like rats. I think we're going to have some fun with it. I certainly hope you will join us. This has been your Daily Creature from Ix Art Park in Charlottesville, Virginia. I am Jovina. Thanks so much. Stay creative.